recording this for your classmates who are not here right now. Okay, so let's go over some Fog and Goff problems. Okay, so I will put the whiteboard up. All right, and let's see. Okay. All right, so let's look at, okay, so we have to have some functions f of x and g of x, right? All right, so let's say f of x is, we'll say x squared plus 3, right? And g of x equals, we'll say 2x squared minus 3x and then plus 4, okay? I just made these up, so I'm sure they're not going to be something nice, but that's just what's going to happen, okay? Now, when we have these, we can do lots of different operations. We can add them, right? F of x, f plus g of x, right? So if I added these, it would just be, I'd take f of x, which is x squared plus 3, and then I'd add 2x squared minus 3x plus 4, okay? Now I can just add them. And so that's what I do. I say, okay, well, I have an x squared here, and I'm adding 2x squareds to it, so that would be 3x squareds, right? Now, I just have a 3 here, so I'd add that to the constant number right there. So I'd have to go in here and say, okay, well, nothing plus negative 3x would be negative 3x. And then 3 plus 4 would be 7, okay? So hopefully those ones are pretty easy. So what you're going to do is you just take the two functions, you write it out, and then you just add them together, okay? We can also subtract f of x, right? F minus g of x, okay? And you could go the other way too, g minus f of x, but just for the sake of keeping it similar, we'll do it this way. All right, so f of x is x squared plus 3. I apologize, this is super ugly writing using my mouse. All right, and then minus 2x squared minus 3x, and then plus 4. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to subtract them, right? So we say x squared minus 2x squared would be, well, 1 minus 2 is negative 1x squared, right? And then nothing minus negative 3. So think about it. Minus a negative is adding, so that would be plus 3x. And then 3 minus 4 is negative 1. So you'll notice, even though I'm using the same functions, f of x and g of x, I still get two different things when I add and subtract them, right? So those are different, all right? So we can also multiply them, right? So we can, okay, we can multiply them. And, okay, so if we multiply them, this ends up being kind of like a FOIL problem. So you would do x squared plus 3, and then times 2x squared minus 3x, right? And then plus 4. And so now to FOIL, we would just take x squared times 2x squared would be 2x to the 4th, right? And then x squared times minus 3x would be minus 3x to the 3rd. And then x squared times 4 would be 4x squared, okay? Now we go through, and then we say, well, 3 times 2x squared would be 6x squared. Okay, and then we would get, x squared, and then we'd get minus 3 times negative 3x would be minus 9x, and then 3 times 4 would be 7, okay? So now I have all of these things, and my job now is to combine my like terms. So if I look here, I don't have any other x to the 4th, so it'd just be 2x to the 4th, right? I look here, I don't have any other x to the 3rds, so it'd be minus 3x to the 3rd. And then we also have, here's the next part, we have 4x squared and 6x squared, which would be a total of 10x squareds. And then we have minus 9x and then plus 7. So you'll see I went from something that was relatively small to now something that's really kind of big. Also, for those students that just got in, please write here in the comment section or the chat section so I know that you are here. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, and then we can also divide them. Now, the nice thing about dividing is generally we just have to write it as this, x squared, right, plus 3x, or plus 3 over 2x squared minus 3x plus 4, right? That would be dividing. But there are two values of x in here that make the bottom 0, which is undefined. And we're going to talk more about that in the next chapter, which is chapter 8. And so for right now in your assignment, it'll probably just say x can't be this, or excuse me, on your test tomorrow, x can't be this, or you might not even have a dividing problem right there. But there are a couple values of this that would make the bottom 0, which is undefined. Okay. Now, that's just adding and subtracting, which hopefully adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing the functions, which hopefully wasn't too difficult. More where the problems are going to happen, and I think this is more what Jacob was hoping we looked at, was when you have f of g of x and things like that. Okay. And so if we did this, if you see this, it looks like the word fog of x. That means what I'm doing is I'm writing the function of f of g of x, right? Okay. And so what that means is I'm actually going to take the function, right, f, and I'm going to put g of x, I'm going to replace this right here with this. And so I would write it as f of 2x squared minus 3x and then plus 4. So plus 4, right? And so what that means is I have to take my function right here, f, and take this x squared. Okay, so when it's f of x, I'm squaring whatever is in my parenthesis here. So I have to square that, and then I'm going to add 3. So this is really the same as 2x squared minus 3x plus 4, and then all of that plus 3 at the end, okay? And so then what I'm going to do, oops, I forgot to write squared, but that's squared right there, and then plus 3. So quickly, and hopefully if you do your own math on it, you can FOIL it out and do it yourself. So 2x squared times 2x squared will be 4x to the 4th, right? And then 2x squared times minus 3x would be minus 6x to the 3rd. And then 2x squared times 4 would be 8x squared. Okay, so what I've done is I've just taken this first term right here and multiplied it by the whole thing itself. Okay, now I'm going to take the minus 3x and multiply it by everything. And so negative 3x times 2x squared would be minus 6x to the 3rd, right? Negative 3x times negative 3x would be a positive 9x squared. And then negative 3x times 4 would be minus 12x. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to take this 4 and multiply it by everything as well. So that would be plus 8x squared. Oops. And then 4 times negative 3x would be minus 12x. And then I have, oops. Okay, and then I have 4 times 4, which is 16. And then all that would be plus 3 at the very end. Okay, so I apologize, it got kind of sloppy, but that's essentially what we're looking at right there, okay? And so then what we're going to do is we are going to combine all of that stuff. Actually, I'll do that in black, okay? So I look and I say, do I have any x to the 4th? I don't, so it's just going to be 4x to the 4th, okay? Then I have minus 6x to the 3rd, minus 6x to the 3rd, and then no other x to the 3rd. So that would be minus 12x to the 3rd. Okay.
Hey,
then,
Rhoda.
Yeah.
Carter's on FaceTime with me, but he apparently can't get in.
Well, no, he was admitted in. I think he's okay. I don't know why. But okay, sounds good. As long as he's on FaceTime with you, I guess that's fine. Okay. 8x squared plus 8x squared plus 9x squared. So we got 8x squared plus 9x squared plus 8x squared would be, so 8 plus 8 is 16, and then 9 would be 25x squared. Okay. And then now we're going to look at x's. So we have minus 12. Minus 12 would be minus 24x. And then we have 16 and 3, which would be 19 at the end. So again, it looks like we have two functions, and they looked really kind of messy, but this would be f of g of x, right? That would be f of g of x. So now what I want you to do, okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. I'm going to give you guys a minute or two. I want you to try g of f of x, right? G of f of x, and then we're going to go over it in just a second. So I'm going to unshare my screen for a second. You try this problem, and then we'll see what we get, okay?
Can you share your screen again so we can see the problem?
Oh, sure.
The equation.
Yeah, that's fine. We can do that. Sorry, there you go. All right, so I have my answer written out here. I did it on a different thing because I guess I can't write so you guys can't see, but okay. So here we go. So check this out. Here's my screen. Okay, so here's my work. I did g of f of x, right? So g of f of x is g of the function f of x, right? And so that means I'm going to take the function g, and I'm going to replace all my x's with x squared plus 3. Now, where might have thrown you off is the fact that this one doesn't have one time where we put the x squared plus 3 in. It has two areas we put it in, okay? So you'll notice my function was 2x squared minus 3x plus 4. So my x squared plus 3 is now just my x's, right? So I'm going to replace every place I see an x with x squared plus 3. Then what I do is I FOIL it out. And again, you could do this on your notes or something like that a little bit quicker. So you square it out and you end up getting this, x to the 4th plus 6x squared plus 9. And then minus 3x squared plus 9, and then plus 4. Okay, so then what we're going to do is I distribute the 2 to everything, right? I distribute the 2. I distributed the 3 here. Oop, this should have been minus 9, so that's going to screw up my answer. That should be minus 9 instead of plus 9. So then this is minus 9 right here. And so at the very end, I'll have to erase my answer. Okay. So I said there's only one x to the 4th, so it's 2x to the 4th. Now I have x squareds. I have 12x squared minus 3x squared would be 9x squared. And then I'd have 18 minus 9, which would be 9, plus 13, so that'd be plus 22. Okay? Is that right? So that would be 9, and then plus 13 would be 22. So this should be your final answer. If you got something similar to that, that's awesome, because probably when you do it on your test tomorrow, you get something similar to that as well. But if you totally got something way different, then I think maybe you might want to look at a problem like that again, okay? Is there any other questions that people have from here? Okay. Remember, if you haven't yet, make sure you write here in the chat section so that I can mark you here for class. If anyone that you know isn't on here, make sure that they watch this. This is all you have to do for attendance today, literally. This is all you have to do. Now, starting at noon, I am going to put the test up. You may see it come through on Google Classroom before then, but it will only be open on Go Formative, which is where we're going to do the test, or it's going to be open on Go Formative starting at noon. Now, there is something that I shared with you all yesterday at about like 2:30. It was an announcement in the classroom, and I want to show everybody this because this is how I know. I already had emails from people saying, what if I have a question on the test and I need help and I need, something like that instead of just guessing, okay? This is how we're going to do it, all right? And hopefully it's really slick. Hopefully it's really easy, but I do want to have some limitations with it and some expectations with it, okay? So I'm going to look at first hour. It doesn't really matter. So I shared this with you yesterday, okay? So emails about questions on assignments, and so this can be for homework quiz assignments or assignments for class, tests and quizzes, anything like that, or anything that you need answered on, okay? If it's a question or a test, whatever, okay? So it's right here, all right? And so this is a form that I want you to fill out, okay? And you might be like, well, why do I have to fill out a whole form to answer a question? Because this actually helps me figure out what it is that you're asking, like what exactly that you need help on, okay? So pretty easy, first couple questions, name, class, assignment. So for tomorrow, it would be chapter 6 test would be your assignment, right? Question number. So you can literally write down the question number. Say it's number 15, all right? Then what I want you to do is just quickly write what the question is asking you to do. Like, is it asking you to simplify? Is it asking you to solve? Is it asking you to evaluate? Is it asking you to whatever, okay? So
should we put like every question that we have on a new question sheet?
Yep, exactly. So as you're going, you can even just keep going on the test, fill this out, and then go to the next one. If you have another question, at the end when you submit it, there's going to say fill out another form, and that would be for the next question, okay? Then here's the next part that I'm going to be expecting a little bit out of you from. It says, what do you think the answer is? And so you could literally, if you tried it out, write out the problem and you get an answer, even if you are, 80% sure it's wrong, at least write it down for me. And it says right here, writing out the answer can help you work through it and help me identify where you're struggling. So if you were to write it out and you get the wrong answer, but you know as well as I do that math teachers have this weird ability to look right at a problem and see what went wrong, right? And so that's what I'm going to ask you to do. So write it out. And then if you write it out you can type it out in the formula area on a Google Doc. You could link the doc with me right here, right? Or there is this down here. You can actually, if you take a picture of it, if you write it out and take a picture, you can upload a file, right? And you can literally upload your work right to this document and then hit submit and I can look through it, okay? So that's what I'm going to ask you to do if you have questions. Don't email me. Don't, bombard my phone with text messages or anything like that. Just fill out the form and I will go through it. Now, just like before, if you fill it out, I'm not going to immediately be able to answer it probably, okay? So that's why you want to make sure you don't have to submit your test until you are fully done. There is a window when it closes. It closes at 11:59 on Friday, and that's just because I don't want people dragging it out too long, whatever. So starting tomorrow or today at noon, so in about 2.5 hours, you can start your test. You have all the way until 11:59 p.m. on Friday to finish it up and hit submit, okay? Is there any questions about the test coming up or anything like that?
We can use Desmos, right?
You can use Desmos, you can use your notes, you can use a calculator. Yep.
Yep.
Anything else? Anybody have any questions? Like I said, questions about the test, anything that's expected of you?
Are we gonna have to show our work on all of them?
You will have the show your work option, but if you don't show your work for like some of the problems that are pretty easy, there's some straightforward ones, like use a calculator to evaluate or something like that, then you don't have to show your work for that, okay?
Okay.
It is going to be multiple choice like before, like the review, so that's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about that. But like I said, you have the option for show your work if you want to, but you don't have to for all of them. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Well, if you don't have any more questions, what I will have you do is look for the test to come through at around noon or so on Google Classroom, and make sure you get it done. Like I said, fill out the question and answer form here if you have any questions on the test or anything like that, but good luck. Oh, and then another thing, I guess I should add this in real quick. On Friday, you're going to get an email about the option of going pass-fail for class, right? And you don't have to elect it. You can choose having regular A, B, C, D, F grade, or you can just do pass-fail. Now that'll be a form that I fill out or that the office or I send to you on Friday, but I want you to make sure you're talking to your parents about what option is best for you. So I know some of you who maybe are generally like an AB student and are struggling a little bit with distance learning, this is maybe an option for you, but it does have an effect on GPA. So make sure you look at that form, okay? Anything else before I go? If not, you're welcome to leave the session now. Make sure you wrote here in the chat section so I know that you're here for class. But if you don't have any other questions, you are free to leave. Have a great day.
So that pass form thing will be sent out tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow. Yep.
Okay.
We will be able to retake tests, right? Like we were before?
Yeah, you will be able to. The nice thing is it's going to be on Go Formative, so you'll have the option of changing your answer. Yep. But
Right.
that'll be after it's submitted and I've graded it and it goes in the grade book. Yep.
Okay. And what do you advise? Do you suggest the pass-fail one or the letter grade?
Oh, I mean, if it was me personally, I would probably still go with the letter grade.
Okay.
just because I think it looks better. I know colleges and stuff like that are kind of giving you the option of kind of looking past that a little bit, but I think it would be better if you went letter
Okay.
grade. But that's just, but I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the test will come out today at 12 or tomorrow?
Today at 12. Yep. At noon today.
And then,
And then it's due by basically midnight on Friday. So you
Okay.
have 36 hours to do it. So,
Okay.
and that's just, and the nice thing is you know, you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it in chunks if you want.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of your day then, and we'll talk to you later. All right.